Hey listeners, today we're talking about things your realtor won't tell you. You might be surprised. Listen in. Thanks for tuning in to the Realtor Moms podcast. I'm Tasha.
And I'm Jamie. We're full-time realtors in the FM and surrounding areas and admittedly average moms. This is how we sell homes.
And try to keep our kids alive.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for listening in today. So Tasha and I have an interesting concept. We're going to tell you maybe about the things that your realtor won't tell you.
Exactly. As I was telling Jamie before we started, there's the things that I think in my head, and then maybe there's ways that it's said very differently if I were to talk with a client.
Of course.
On some of the topics.
And, I feel like I always take an opportunity to be the disclosure on this. Like, this is partly for entertainment, but also we want you to know that we do care deeply and we're not holding information back from you. But there are some limits as to certain things we can or can't say. And then there are some things that we kind of hold back just so we don't hurt anybody's feelings. But,
yes. So right there.
Take this all with a grain of salt. So what should we start with?
I'm going to jump right in. I'm jumping in on the heavy topic right here.
Okay.
No, writing an offer $100,000 below list price when you're in multiple offers is a stupid idea. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to be mean, but if you're in multiple offers and you're coming in hot with that low of a price, this is where I'm trying to be encouraging and talk to my clients about you may be offensive, and if there's multiple offers, you're not in a position to compete.
So essentially,
it can be a really dumb idea.
So what you're not going to tell them is, no, we can't do that. We can't try.
No, we can't.
Like your
I'm
realtor,
not going to say no, we can't try.
Exactly. Your realtor won't tell you, no, I'm not going to write that for you. I mean,
it's our job. We have to write what you tell us to write, and we may encourage you to not do that. But the things that are running through my head is that's a really stupid idea.
Yeah. No, I mean, we want you to be successful in the offers that you write. And we also
want to get you the best price possible, too.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. We want to get you the best deal we can possibly get you. But we also know, and again, don't be offended, but sometimes some people need to lose before they learn what kind of offer to write. And that can be, it's not your fault. You as the buyer or even the seller receiving offers, you don't do this every day. And we do. Okay?
we have become a little... we're not as sensitive to
We're more statistical. It's less
we're
emotional
more statistical because we're not dealing with our family home or where we brought our babies home to. We don't have those emotions involved, so we can really take a step back and look at the bigger picture.
Right. But at the same time, please don't think that we do not care an immense amount about the success of your dream of home ownership.
Yes, we do.
Or home sale or investments. We do care a ton. But sometimes, I guess the thing the realtor won't tell you is some people need to lose to learn.
Yes, exactly.
Because you just got to try. And we get that. And we all do that a little bit in our personal lives in other ways as well. So that's a good one.
Yep.
I got one. I don't actually care about your uncle's house that he bought 15 years ago and 1,000 miles away and what he did to negotiate it.
Yeah, how he negotiated and what he was able to get.
Yeah, like we understand that our buyers especially, and certainly sometimes sellers, are getting so much advice from so many different sources, whether it's family or it's Google or it's a whole bunch of different other places.
Their aunt that lives across the country and is a realtor in a different state.
Right. And of course,
a different market.
Take this lightly. All of your experiences are important to us, but our market is very, kind of like any market, is very has trends that are inside its own geographic area. So something that might have worked really well in New York City
may not work well here.
Could sound pretty tone deaf in Detroit Lakes or Fargo, North Dakota.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just keep in mind, we're giving you the advice that we and feedback that we know for this area and how things tend to apply in transactions around
that
here.
Is hyper specific to the house and the local community that you are making an offer in it.
Exactly.
But you can still tell us about your uncle's deal.
Yeah. We do find it interesting to hear trends and how things work in other states.
Yeah. How about another family member one? This isn't always a family member.
Yeah.
But you want to say it? Or
you go ahead.
Your dad's not a home inspector.
Yes.
or your mom. We think home inspectors are worth their absolute weight in gold.
Yes.
And we know, and we are parents, right? We're
yes,
moms.
I will be going through that at some point here with my kids, my
Right.
daughters. My oldest being 22. I will be highly involved, whether she lives around this area or I refer her to another agent in a different area.
Tasha will be out there making mountains out of molehills.
That's what moms do. And I will be the one that has to be talked down off the ledge.
But sometimes our buyers feel like maybe they will hire, their friend or their brother or, whoever, because he's a contractor or she is an expert home interior decorator or whatever, and they own a tape measure and a flashlight and they could do the home inspection. We will not tell you can't do it. But we always strive to recommend that you hire a professional because they really are worth their weight in gold.
Yes. One thing I do want to point out, if you want your family involved and you want them to come through homes, I usually say, let's bring them through right off the beginning. So that way they can see all of the, they can see all the frogs we've looked at, and then, and then we can move on into your dream home.
That's a great point. Yeah, sometimes it's a really good idea to bring some of those folks who you think will have an impression upon your decision to some of the other home showing appointments as well, not just the final.
Yes, so they can see what we looked at that led to your decision to choose that dream home that you want to make an offer on.
Exactly. It'll give them some great perspective because they all generally, right, your family and friends want you to get the best possible deal. And when they just show up for the house that you're at and they haven't bought a house in 20 years, they think, oh my gosh, you're overpricing or you're paying too much and there's too many things that are imperfect.
Exactly. So
but if they had been along for the ride,
they can be a part of every step of the way and know that why or other homes didn't work and why this one ultimately ended up being the winner.
Totally.
So definitely.
What's next? Custom touches.
Custom touches. So just keep in mind that Valance that was really popular in the 80s.
You
with
bought
those
it from
bold
JCPenney's, from the catalog. We know it.
Some of these personal touches, they're custom to you, but that doesn't mean that it increases price.
Right. Your realtor won't tell you that it's a bad thing to have in the house because it's not, but it's also not going to add value in some cases. So what we mean by that is, I used the example with Tasha earlier today, like if I had pants customized to my body, and then tried to sell them to someone else, to Tasha or to somebody else, they're not valuable to them. So just understand that even though we love that you love your home and the
customizations that you've done to it,
a customization, especially one that's maybe a little out of trend or a couple decades
or
old,
hyper specific to you and what worked well with how you live in the home, might not add value.
It might not be an asset.
Exactly.
Right. Totally.
So
how about, kind of along the same lines, how about that new furnace that they just put in 20 years ago?
So that new furnace that was replaced 20 years ago does not add value. I'm not trying to be mean.
I know.
There's no meanness in any of this.
Right.
But new does not mean it's new if it has a number of years on it.
Right.
And that is a very used.
Yeah, and it was certainly an upgrade, decidedly, right, from whatever you had in there before, and therefore it is a good thing.
And it may still work great and does not need to be replaced.
Oh, yeah.
I very much want to point that out. But just if there's a number of years on these upgrades, they may no longer be upgrades and updates and new appliances or new amenities within the home.
Right. We're not trying to be hard on you. We're just trying to be realistic. And so your realtor probably isn't going to tell you that adds a bunch of value to the house.
Yes.
But here's one that gets really hard. I know it's hard for both of us. It's where's the best school district? Where's the best neighborhood? What neighborhood is a bad neighborhood?
Is this a safe neighborhood?
Exactly. Those are really hard for us to answer. And
there's fair housing.
Yeah, some of it is a legal requirement.
Illegal for us that we cannot say. Yep. And it's not that we may know, but we literally cannot tell you, or we're breaking.
And the thing is, everybody has a little bit of a different
perspective.
Precisely. And so what we can do is we can get you stats for those schools, and you can look into every different statistic that's important to you and make that decision for yourself. So we are happy to provide you with that information, or even get you in touch with someone at the school to ask some questions, or maybe a parent representative of a certain school. Oh, it's 12:30, everybody. Another thing that we
can also provide. We can direct you to different police departments to their crime statistics and where are calls coming in for areas and neighborhoods. So we can't necessarily say, but we can certainly direct you to areas so you can investigate that for yourself.
Yeah, your realtor is not going to pull up this big old map and say, in this area you want to buy a house and in that area you don't. But we will do absolutely everything we can to give you any factual information about concerns and definitely lead you to
so you can make the decision. And that way you can make the decision
details
for yourself of whether it seems like a safe or crime-ridden neighborhood, or if it's the best school district for your children.
Totally.
One thing I wanted to touch on too, and we talked about it a little earlier, but it's not, the thing we will never say to a client if they're writing an offer that's lower priced or writing an offer that is saying, hey, we want to close in 6 months from now. We're not going to tell you it's not worth trying.
Yeah.
We will never say that.
Of course.
We are here to follow the what you want to put into an offer. But just keep in mind, we're never going to tell you it's not worth trying.
Right.
That's not going to come out of our mouths.
Yep. No, and I think that's a great one to end on. We won't tell you not to try, but we will give you every bit of the available knowledge and expertise that we have to make even a ridiculous offer as likely to be successful as possible.
Correct.
Because we just really want you to be happy, and we want you to get the house that you want, or get the house that you have sold. Tasha, anything else? Is there anything else that we would never say?
Well, we would never tell you not to listen.
Oh, yes.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks so much for listening. If you liked what you hear, you can check out our library of tons more episodes on RealtorMomsPodcast.com. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or just about anywhere you listen to podcasts. And please never hesitate to reach out. We would love to be your realtors. This podcast is produced by Realtor Moms Podcast. Jamie R. Swenson, Park Company Realtors, 4170 41st Avenue South, Fargo, North Dakota.
And Tasha Barrett with Real, 3961 4th Street East, West Fargo, North Dakota, 58078.